Everyone. It is 1:46 p.m. in Paris, and I am doing the last chapter from the book, which is chapter number 15. If you can kindly see, is the epilogue or closing observations of the branding chapters we have studied. And there's some interesting things we have covered throughout the course. As much as I can try to, I would say, disseminate the information and analysis to all of you. This last chapter is also going to help you write the final report for your class or submission. Your next session is in 2 weeks' time, and that session would be for submitting your report and presentations. You have two, items of submission. The presentations and report can be done in groups. They can be done individually, but the group size is going to be maximum 3 people in a group. Of course, you can work individually, but if you are more than one person in the effort, I will judge you much more strictly in the effort. So if one person sends in a report and they make some simple mistakes or they do some research mistakes, they will be probably forgiven. There will be some leniency. But if 2 or 3 people are working together in an effort to write a report and presentation, there should be more strictness. It's only fairness, okay? Your work will go through a plagiarism software, all right? And do not try to plagiarize. You understand that plagiarism will lead to a straight F grade. At this point in time, don't get desperate. Your presentation deadline and your report deadline will be separate. Presentation deadlines will be the 6th of May. That is the next class. How are you going to present? Very simple. You will send me a PowerPoint with your voice recording on it. I don't want any videos, okay? It's going to be very difficult to download videos. Okay, so you can record your voice as enthusiastically as possible on a PowerPoint and send it my way, okay? Or you can, I'll probably use Canvas for the uploading part, and that'll make everyone's life simple. For the report, I will give you a 2-day extension, all right? So that means if the 6th of May is the deadline for the presentation, the 8th of May, all right? 8th of May will be the deadline for the report. And I'll give you the report structure hopefully by tonight. I am loving this subtitle part. This is amazing, but I have to also speak a little slower and I'm more like a robot, but it's kind of cool too. Okay, let me just close some windows. I have too many open. Okay, so moving ahead. The learning objectives is to understand the 6 future brand imperatives and identifying certain criteria for brand report cards. I will try to teach you a bit about the brand report card, but I don't find it to be that important, personally speaking. There are many tools for understanding how to evaluate your brands. And one of the brand report card, a balance scorecard, whatever you want to call it, it could be necessary, but I will leave that for you to research on your own as well. And we'll try to talk about how we should avoid the management of brands as well. There have been many fallacies we've discussed in class, and I probably would reiterate all of them as well. Moving ahead. So we're going to talk about the summary of customer-based brand equity framework and tactical guidelines. And so moving ahead here, what is the customer-based brand equity framework is based on the sources of brand equity and the outcomes of the results of managing your brand equity. Usually, we talk about strategic brand management. We talked about strategic marketing and strategic branding together. This includes the design and implementation of marketing programs and activities to, number 1, build, number 2, measure, and number 3, manage brand equity. Because we've seen from Marty Neumeyer's uh, the brand gap. That brand equity can give you twice as much as value as your current capital or equity in your company. Then there's also brand awareness. This is related to the strength of the brand's node or trace in a person's memory. We use usually perception for this. It is also reflected by consumers' ability to recall or even recognize the brand under different conditions, such as the symbols, the imagery, the quality, and many other factors go into this. Lastly, it's the brand image. This is the consumer's perceptions of and also preferences for a brand, which is measured by various types of brand associations held in the memory. Okay, so we're going towards more of a perception-based, I would say, evaluation. Remember, as Marty Neumeier said, and many other brand gurus would argue, that branding is what the customer says it is. Your brand is only as good as what the customer says it is, not what you say. The the better perception, or I would say the long-lasting, positive perception you can create about your brand, the more it will be favored. But there has to be a method of measurement. How much better are you? How are you compared against the competition? In what way are you valued when a person has a choice? Would they think about you first or second or third? All of these things are part of, I would say, the customer-based brand equity framework. You can see in the next slide, here's a summary of brand knowledge. Okay, what does it comprise of? We can look at brand awareness. You can see in brand awareness, it has brand recall and brand recognition. Recall is remembering what the brand is about, what are the features, what are the association in terms of value propositions. And brand recognition is typically the imagery, the logo, the design, and all those things that can help us quickly identify the company, or I would say the product line or the services they offer. The visual appeal, I would say the audio appeal as well. And maybe even the sensory appeal, such as sight, sound, smell, touch, taste, and all those things. Within brand image, you have types of brand association, such as attributes of the brand. Within attributes, we generally talk about product-related features. Non-product related features could be the services or the emotional connection that people might have. They can also be about the pricing. Someone buys something expensive, they like to show it off too, like a nice Rolex watch or a Ferrari. Okay, the user and usage imagery, once again, it's even though it's an expensive thing, how are people viewed? Would you view someone who drives a Ferrari as sophisticated or someone who drives a Bentley as more sporty? Well, that is up to the consumer to decide. Then also every brand has its own personality. We've discussed this before. If Nike shoes were turned, what does a Nike running shoe, what sort of personality do they give off? Are they professional? Are they sporty? Are they casual wear? Are they fashion wear? Or are they all of them? And they have a strong sense of personality, and they are highly connected to the young, or I would say the youth of the market. Think about those things. And what about the feelings and experiences? Feelings and experiences are positive emotions, maybe nostalgic emotion, maybe something's very poignant. Take, for example, people like keeping vintage articles in their homes because it might give them some sort of feeling of nostalgia, poignancy, or a sentiment connected to the past, or the experience of using a product or service was so positive that they actually want to experience it all over again, like going to a nice restaurant or going to an amusement park like Disney World. I'm just checking if someone has sent a message or no. No, you guys are good. Well, I do see a message. No, that's just me. Then we have, what do you call it? Benefits. There are also types of brand association. Remember, benefits can also be emotional, all right? We usually tend to say when we look at the branding pyramid, we have the functional benefit, emotional benefit, and the entire promise. So functional benefits could be if I buy an iPhone or I would say Samsung smartphone, the functional benefit could be the camera's resolution is very good. Then experiential benefit could be, related to experiences. Maybe it's just that you don't want to switch over from using an iPhone to an Android, just like I do. I don't want to switch over from an Android to an iPhone. And I've have a very long, experience using smartphones, and I prefer to use Androids over the iPhone. So it's a switching cost. It's also symbolic. I don't like the iPhones or the Apple products because I think they're garbage. For me, that's the symbol of Apple. Too expensive, low functionality, or what's the word I would use, or the phrase, uh, all image, no substance. That's symbolic for me. But for some people more younger, or I would say much more impressionable, they think having an iPhone with them would help them to get in the in crowd. It might look cool. That's okay too. That's also symbolic. All right. Then we have attitudes. And remember, the word attitude is a consistent feeling, evaluations, and I would say maybe even behaviors toward a brand. Okay, that's an attitude. For example, do you prefer Pepsi or Coca-Cola? Most people say Coca-Cola because the way they have developed the attitude towards it is highly positive. Not that they hate Pepsi, but there are people who hate Pepsi. For what reason? I really don't understand. But both are colas. Similarly, the attitude might have been developed from Coca-Cola to push onto Pepsi that you should only choose one and not the other. For example, when people watch football matches, or let's say in America, soccer matches, it's you barely see anyone cheering for both teams, right? You cheer for either one or the other, but I like to think I'm the other type of person, the third type, who says, I hope both of you all win. Why not? I mean, what's the big deal? It's just a game, right? And then when you say that to someone, they get really angry because their attitude towards the game is that this is, you know, it's a, it gives them happiness. All right. That team gives them happiness. They cheered for them. They invested in them, and they bought their jersey. They bought their ticket. They sat down with their friends to watch it at home, and they're giving up time of the day to watch the match and their fan following. So the consistent evaluation towards them, it's been so invested that the attitude becomes positive towards one brand of, I would say, football leagues or football team, and the other becomes highly negative. Then we also have favorability of brand associations. Simply put, what do you favor more than the others? It's a comparison point, okay, a points of parity, as they say. Strength of brand association. What do you associate with that brand? Such as Google is a search engine. People actually say the word. Would you Google that? Okay, why? Because the search engine word has become a household name with everyone. Google. I would WhatsApp you, FaceTime me. Can you Xerox that? Xerox is photocopying. In my country, they use the word Jeep for any 4x4 car. Okay, 4x4s are basically, they're not alternate vehicles, but they're usually used for going into places that's very difficult to drive. But because of I would say, in the brand of Wheelie's Jeep, or they were so famous. Was it Jeep Cherokee Wheelies? I don't remember. They got so popular that every 4x4 is called a Jeep, and I was like, they called a Mitsubishi Pajero. Oh, whose Jeep is that? I'm like, that's not a Jeep. Jeep is a brand. Same goes for Surf XL or Ariel, the powder surf, right? They would call crushed powdered soap, generic soap in my country, surf. And I said, that's not surf. Yeah, but it looks like surf. So they just started calling it surf. And similarly, you probably know even brands like Kleenex, the tissue paper. People say, do you have a Kleenex, right? And or I've heard this very much in France, which is Hoover, the vacuum cleaner brand. They would say, can you Hoover this? I have to get my Hoover. And they take out a Hoover. It's not a Hoover. It's a Bosch or it's a Dyson. And I'm like, that's not a Hoover. Hold on, please. So we talked about strength of brand associations. Think about cleaning. People might think about Swiffer if they want to buy something. Um, if you're thinking about sports, Nike might come to mind. If you're thinking about guitars, Gibson might come to mind, and so on and so forth. That's the strength of brand association, okay? And then the uniqueness of those brand association. What came first? For example, who was the most innovative in their field? Like Apple is considered synonymous with iPads, with our tablet technology, and so we can even say like Nikon or Canon are probably synonymous with camera technology. And then many others, like for example, even applications such as Tinder, they're synonymous with being the most, what do you call it, top of the line brand for dating applications and so on and so forth, or Uber for taxi. I wouldn't call it taxi, but ride sharing. But you get the picture, right? Anyways, moving ahead. Now we have what we call sources of brand equity. So far, oh, I see there are two questions on WhatsApp. Okay. No, it's not from you guys. Nothing over here. Source of brand equity are dimensions of brand association depending on three factors. Okay, strength, which is the function of both the amount or quantity of processing that information initially receives and the nature or quality of the processing. Okay, let me repeat. It's a lot to take in. Function of both the amount or quantity of processing that information that is initially received and the nature or quality of the processing in our minds, in our hearts, in our soul. When we look at a certain brand, how do we feel about it? Okay, for example, if someone on Valentine's Day would present you with chocolates or flowers, well, usually for the girls, but you know, in Japan, the association can be very different. Over here, usually it's very romantic. In Japan, kids, well, I would not kids, I would say high school kids give each other chocolates. The girls first give chocolates to the boys, and they mention even to their friends when they give them chocolate, these are your complimentary chocolates. But to the boy that they like, when they give them chocolates a little more expensive, and they don't mention it's complimentary. And if they reciprocate the feeling, then the boys also return all the chocolates 1 month later on March 14th. But the boy who received the chocolate, which are non-complimentary, if he returns them without saying the words, these are not complimentary chocolate, that means you kind of like the girl, and the chocolates have to be more expensive. So if someone gets you, let's say, uh, dairy milk chocolates for Valentine's, it's just like a friend. But if they get you probably Godiva, they're like, ooh, it's more favorable. So favorability is a favorable association for a brand, or that are those that are desirable for to customers, successfully delivering by the product and conveyed by supporting marketing programs. Okay, meaning if you're going to someone's wedding, what type of gift would you give them according to your also favorable association with that person? Same goes for the type of brand you're giving someone. Is it too expensive? Is it considered too cheap? Is it considered too high in status? Is it considered important? Is it rare? All of those things matter. I remember this student of mine, she got me two pens from Moleskine. And I love Moleskine diaries, but they're not that expensive. It's like the pens are probably like 10 to 20 euros, considering that they're more expensive than a regular Bic pen or a regular piano pen or whatever you want to call it. But she got those when she was going back to Germany, and she's like, "It's my last day, and I saw that you always carry a Moleskine diary, and I got you these two pens." And I usually use that sometimes in class or for signing my contract. One of the HR ladies also mentioned that, can I keep your pen? I said, no, that's my gift. She's like, yeah, but you know, it's not that expensive, so give it to me. I said, that's not the point. The point was the it was a uniqueness of how it was handled and given to me. The girl who gave it to me was a very cute student of mine. She was very hardworking, and you know, I was kind of like a mentor to her. So it's the memory that was being safeguarded. I said, I can't give it away. I can buy you one if you want, but she's like, why would you buy me one and not give me one? Then I told her the reason. So it's it was in a way the way it was gifted to me. Just like, Chanel number 5. Women don't buy Chanel number 5. They're gifted by men to, and so it's a present that they received. So uniqueness is to create the differential response that leads to customer-based brand equity. Marketers need to associate unique, meaningful points of differences to the brand that provide a competitive advantage and a reason for consumers to buy it. Okay, why would I want to buy your product? What's in it for me? What's the value proposition? You remember the concept of sell me this pen? The idea was very simple. You need the pen to maybe sign a contract. You need the pen to carry out daily tasks, even though it's a cheap pen. The moment you need a pen, you can't find it. It happens in my house all the time. There's so many pens, but the moment you take out a pen, it's all dried up, or they're not useful anymore. They just disappear, or my kids have stolen it. They take it to their room and do their drawings. But uniqueness is also about importance. It's you can also say, I can buy something else over this. What's the reason I should buy from you? It doesn't have to be the product's advantage. It could also be the availability's advantage. It could be a pricing advantage, or simply a promotional advantage too. Think about the 4 P's of marketing here. Let's just see if someone sent me a message. No, none of you. Moving ahead, here's figure 15-2, which are the determinants of desired brand knowledge structures. Number 1, the depth of brand awareness is determined by the ease of brand recognition and recall. Usually, a lot of people use logos as their fast technique, or imagery, or shapes and forms and colors as well, to associate the depth of brand awareness. Look at like cars, like BMW. A BMW is easily recognizable from the front, right? But not so much from the back. Okay. However, there are certain cars and shapes, like the Porsche 911 is easily recognizable from far away, just from its entire shape. And so it has a stronger depth of brand awareness for people. They know from far away that this is probably a sporty car. I wouldn't call it a sports car entirely. It's more of a sporty car. But yeah, it falls into the luxury division. Not that expensive, but in a way, it has a strong association for success for maybe retired individuals. Most retired individuals end up buying a Porsche sports car. It's sophisticated yet fun. It's also a bit feminine at the same time. Shows I wouldn't say makes a masculine man look like a woman, but it also might show his softer side. Then there's also the breadth of brand awareness. Okay, this is determined by the number of purchases and consumption situations for which the brand comes to mind. How many times do you think about buying what you buy? Okay, for example, Starbucks coffee, Kit Kat, M&Ms, what do you call McDonald's burger? How many times does that come to mind? Okay, during lunchtime, like for example, in the U.S., they even did a documentary called Super Size Me. People eat fast food constantly in the U.S. Okay, and in France it became also an issue, mostly in Paris. But lunchtime in Paris is considered to be very holy. So people usually go to their favorite restaurant. People usually go to their favorite bar, their favorite discotheque, their favorite cinema. They meet with their favorite people in a favorite place for a favorite activity. Think about those things. People play video games online. That too is a brand association. People choose a certain video game console. People choose to listen to a certain brand of music, or I would say genre of music from a certain type of singer. Everyone has the choice to do so. But how many times do they listen to it? How many times would they choose it over someone else? Number 3, strong brand associations. This is created by marketing programs that convey relevant information to consumers in a consistent fashion at any one point in time, as well as over time, like advertising, promotional campaigns. All of these are there to communicate the message of the brand. Like when they used Brad Pitt for Chanel number 5, that was a very bold move because Chanel number 5 is for women. The reason they used Brad Pitt is not because he's good looking or is attractive and all. No, that wasn't the main reason. The main reason was men want to be like Brad Pitt. He is very charming. He's charismatic. Okay, and women run after him, I guess. So men like, how if a Brad Pitt is going to talk like that, is going to be so mysterious and enigmatic, and that's what women want, then I'm going to go buy Chanel number 5 for my woman, girlfriend, wife, mistress. I don't know. Okay, so that's what we call strong brand association, created by constant promotional programs or from the promotional mix. Number 4 is favorable brand association. This is created when marketing programs are effectively deliver product-related and non-product related benefits that are desired by consumers. This is functional benefit too. You can put underneath functional benefit, you can put it underneath emotional benefits. Product related benefits are simple functionalities. Okay, what does it really do and why did I buy it? Non-product related could be the associations people have with it. And we discussed this in the previous slide. Let me just show you over here. Ooh, can I go back? Yep. Here. Non-product related is like pricing. Like, for example, when I bought my Lenovo or my Asus, most of it was related to price. Okay, it was non-product related. User and user imagery. I'm a big Asus fanboy. All right, I have an Asus watch, I have an Asus computer, I have an Asus phone, and brand personality is usually it's a rugged phone. Okay, it's a rugged computer. It's robust. I can manage it really well. And the feelings and experiences, I have very positive experiences with the brand. Okay, and my feelings toward it, I don't like MacBooks. That's my feeling towards it. Anyways, moving ahead. Unique brand associations. These are strong and favorable, create points of differences that distinguish the brand from other brands. Brand associations that are not unique, however, can create valuable points of parity to establish necessary category association or to neutralize competitive point of difference. So tell me again, what's the difference between an Audi, a BMW, and a Mercedes to someone who doesn't know much about cars? Truth be told, nothing. There's no difference between them. But they had to create points of parity. Audi is owned by Volkswagen, so they use the TDI concept. I think Mercedes went for the AMG concept or something, or they developed these sort of technology and words to make them stand out. So, and also their shapes and imagery and the associations they had with the consumers, that was also used a lot. Make it look sporty, they used movies like James Bond to show off BMW. And I don't know, what was the other movie with the bald-headed dude, Jason Statham, the driver or something? I don't know what car they use, Audi, and so on and so forth. It's always been a thing to use cars and movies to represent a type of association, a unique association. Other than cars, okay, you can think about even like, for example, music instruments. Usually the guitars, his association is usually that whoever plays the guitar is the most coolest guy, and people who play the bass are almost invisible. That's why there's always this joke about if you play the bass, you're non-existent in a band, and if you play the lead guitar, you're like the cool dude. You're almost like the diva in the group. But that's just unique brand associations. Okay, moving ahead. What slide number are we on? Excuse me. Regarding the outcomes of brand equity, we talk about benefits for the brand, such as improved perception of the overall product and services, the imagery. We talk about in terms of also competition. Just like simply changing the logo is not enough. You might change the product line. This is what happened with La Halle Chaussure in France. It was taken over by the Havas group, which tried to change its imagery into more fast fashion, and they wanted to compete with Primark. Initially, the brand was very dull, But now I think they kind of managed to compete with Primark when Primark stepped in almost like 4 or 5 years ago in France. They kind of devastated the fast fashion market for affordable products. Initially, there was, I think, Tati, but Tati was once again not that unique. Then also, the other benefit is the customer loyalty. Greater customer loyalty means, more simply put, you don't have to make an effort or a bigger effort to retain your consumer or your customer, sorry. So new acquisitions will be a little more easier through satisfied customers who will evangelize your product. There's also less vulnerability to competitive marketing actions. Please give me a minute. I went to get some tissue papers. Need water. Competitive marketing actions, meaning what the competition does, maybe launch a new product, launch a new ad campaign, lower their prices, try to attract your market towards them, whatever it is. If the customer is loyal and happy and you strongly associate with your brand in terms of benefits, it is very hard for them to switch over. Being offered a better phone did not help Samsung's market. People did not switch over to Samsung because it was a better product. No, the association was so strong with the iPhone that the Samsung company did the white glove technique. They got celebrities to start endorsing the brand. And when celebrities start endorsing it, that positive, unique association for emotional association led to the success of switching over to Android. People didn't really care because, the truth be told, the Android phone and the iPhone are not very different from each other. They do the same things. They take photographs, they connect to the internet, you can watch movies, you can play video games, and most of you can argue in terms of technicality, but how different is that? In fact, Samsung even copied removing the headphone jack, I think, from its phone, just like iPhone did. And I don't know the reason why they did that. Honestly speaking, it just is a bizarre move. Kind of upset a lot of people who had expensive headphones with wires in them. But yeah, there was Samsung copied them. So they're also less vulnerable to marketing crises. Marketing crises are, please hold on. Apologies, I had to get up and take care of something. Marketing crises are something like what's happening right now. Demand can reduce for a certain product or service over time. And not just demand, pricing can increase or pricing can fall, just like what happened with petrol. Is minus $35 a barrel. So good luck to the people in the US and their economies in shambles at the moment. But think about product and services related. I mean, if you look at the market currently, in the globally, or I would say in the US, the top 4 or 5 companies that have survived the shock from the economic crisis are online services. Facebook, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Apple, they have kind of survived it. I was actually looking at the, what do you call it, this diagram. I'm going to pull it out and I'm probably going to share it with you guys. Scott Galloway. Please give me a minute. Activity, see all, host. Yeah. So let me just block this out and share the screen again. Okay, this is showing the SP500, I think, V charts. And you can see the largest share lies with Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Google, which is Alphabet, and Facebook. And all the other companies are like, they're almost destroyed. Okay, so it says the biggest 5 stocks in the S&P 500 have a weighting equal to the bottom 350 stocks, up from 282 in July 2018. Okay, so yeah, this is what happened. I follow him. Okay, what do you call it? Scott Galloway. He's a marketing professor at NYU, and he writes amazing books. You should all get his books. And he also has a podcast. Really interesting guy. Oh, someone tried to add me and let me a shot. I don't know him. That ABS. Okay, time to unshare this and go back to the PowerPoint slide. And of course, higher margins. If your product or if your brand has a powerful association, you can charge a markup for it. Remember, people will pay more if they favor your brand. Think about all the things that you buy. Even if it's affordable, remember, they are trying to focus on, I would say, extracting a higher value of margin from you against competing brands all the time. Okay, so that being said, let's move ahead. Should I close my subtitles? But I think it's pretty cool.
We're running late, friends. We're running late. It would be nice if we got a little bit of commentary from the peanut gallery. Thank you.
Other outcomes of brand equity. Oh, excuse me. I did not mean to do that, but I'm not in the best of health at the moment. Don't worry, I don't have coronavirus. And I don't even want to joke about that. There's more inelastic consumer response to price increases. Price elasticity. Some of you might have studied this in economics. It's when a little change in price has a big impact or change margin in demand. For example, if the iPhone is $800 and they reduce their price to $750, and that makes their current demand for, let's say, 5% per month jump up to 20% per month. That's price elasticity. Okay, but in terms of more inelastic consumer response to price increases, this is what Louis Vuitton did. Louis Vuitton did continue to keep their prices slightly stable and increase them over time. And yet the consumer demand did not fall short. It actually increased. So the stronger the brand equity, the more the demand will remain stable or keep on going higher. The more elastic consumer response to price decreases, meaning slight price decreases leads to larger demand, meaning people do want it no matter what. Think about Nutella in France. At one point, Nutella's prices dropped quite significantly, and people rushed to the stores and started punching each other just to buy Nutella. 85% of the entire global consumption of Nutella is done by France. Now you can imagine. So there's also greater trade cooperation and support. People who would like to distribute your goods, they know they will benefit in it as well. The retailers, resellers, wholesalers, logistics sell, they know this product is high or the brand has power. They would be like to be part of the value chain, and they would also get some profit out of it. It also helps in increased marketing communication. They become more effective because people have already understood what the brand is about. So they don't need to be re-educated about the brand. Okay. For example, PlayStation has been around for so many years. When they launch a new PlayStation, they don't have to tell people, oh, it's a new video game console. People already know what a PlayStation is. It's a home entertainment system, which is also a video game console. Mostly, you can play movies on it, you can listen to music on it, you can chat on it, and many other things. There's also possible licensing opportunities that people would like to work with you through what we call brand licensing or franchising or even brand partnerships. Okay, they would like, hey, this is a great association. This is what I've seen at Uniqlo. On Uniqlo, they always have this T-shirt thing. Let me share it with you guys. Let me go to Uniqlo. Let me share the screen. Where is it? Here. So in Uniqlo, they have, let's say, not promotions. No. Usually it's in their T-shirt. Yeah, this one. I don't know if you can see. Probably it's a collection graphique. Okay, and all of these basically, oh, they have Evangelion. Time to get that. Usually with anime or Disney products, they have that sort of collection. Okay, so the category, yeah, they have right now. They're doing it with Neon Genesis Evangelion, Mario 35th anniversary, Gumpla 40th anniversary. I don't know what Gumpla is. It sounds like just like Gundam, Nippon Miyagi, Art of Marvel, the brand car, Mickey manga art. Oh, cool. That looks pretty cool. I should get that. Shoto art, Peter Saville, Neo Miyagi, the brand's masterpiece. Once again, these are all collaborations. Urban Walls, they even line application like Line Friends, Fortune Disney, Magic for All Icon. Keith Haring, they did this pre-recent. I know did this last year. I think was it this year? Keith Haring, Andy Warhol, and so you can see there's also Star Wars, Disney stories, Dragon Ball, Fortnite. Oh, Fortnite. Who plays that? And yeah, there are many others. No, they have even Pingu and Lego. I even got Street Fighter. I bought like 10 T-shirts for Street Fighter from them. And also I'll see there are many others, but these are basically brand licensing. Okay. Anyways, let me stop here. Reshare the PowerPoint. Okay. And of course, there are additional brand extension opportunities. Remember, like when the iPod came out, it led to the iPhone, which led to the iPad. Okay, so they're part of the same brand extension or brand family. Okay, I wouldn't say MacBook, but MacBook has Mac Air, or MacBook Pro. That leads to more extension. If the brand is successful, they can create better brand extensions, but not too many of them. Then it becomes unsuccessful if their brand portfolio is too big. Moving ahead. Oh. Where's I? Let's talk about tactical guidelines and a few things over here. Let me just move ahead. I would just like to talk a little bit about this, but I would like to take a small break of 5 minutes because I'm feeling a little under the weather. So 5 to 10 minutes break, and I'll come back and reiterate on these points. Okay. I'll be right back. I'm stopping the recording.